Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Thank you so much for your time joining us here today. Once again, I want to say thank you and a very warm welcome to WSG COP. My name is Sue and I'll be your MC for today. Now, on behalf of Workforce Singapore WSG, I'd like to welcome all of you to today's Community of Practice COP. I'm very sure you know that is Getting Ready for Future Work, Skills Development, and Lifelong Learning. where we are right now, of course, Lifelong Institute. Now, with digitalization, automation, and robotization, they have been contributing to the replacement of tasks and jobs while also creating different and new tasks and jobs. Increasingly, people are required to develop and learn new skills throughout their working lives. I'm sure you agree with me on that, right? And educational institutions and companies are finding more creative and effective ways to help people learn the skills they need in the 21st century workplace. Ladies and gentlemen, it will be a very exciting evening ahead where we invite two very distinguished speakers speaking on topics related to skills development and also lifelong learning. Now, to begin today's session, I'd like to invite Mr. Christopher Yip, Deputy Director of Career Practitioners Division, Workforce Singapore, to speak to you for a short while. Please give him a round of applause. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. Nice to see all of you again at this COP session. How many of you came for the March one? Can I have a show of hands? Oh, that's good. So, repeat customers, that's good. So I hope you come again for the next one, which is in September. All right, so this is actually, today's COP is the second in a series of 5 COPs that we are organizing in 2018. So the theme for the COP is about the 21st century workplace and what are the changes in the workplace that you as a career practitioner should be aware of as you provide career advisory to your clients. So next slide, please. So in December last year, when WSG, when we first met you at our communication session in December, I presented the list of plans and initiatives that we wanted to roll out in 2018. I think this slide is quite familiar to you. It was presented in December, then we presented this in March COP. So I want to, the good news is that we are on track to delivering most of these initiatives for you. These initiatives are actually for you, rather than for the job seekers or your clients. So one of the key initiatives is the WSG Career Development Framework. We have been talking about the Career Development Framework for quite a number of months now. So we are going to launch the framework officially in August, end of August. The tentative date is on the 27th of August. So our Minister, Josephine Teo, will be there to launch the framework. So we hope you can come and join us and to understand a bit more about the framework. It's basically a practice-based credentialing framework that we have been working on for the last half year or so. And I'm also pleased to say that this coming conference, we are organizing jointly together with the People and Career Development Association. At the last COP in March, we announced the launch of the PCDA. Sing Chi, the president, is amongst you, and she also talked about what PCDA can offer. So WSG is working closely with PCDA to launch the Career Development Framework as well as our inaugural conference. I also want to tell you about the Career Advisory Program that we are going to roll out, in fact, at the end of this month, or maybe in early July. So the Career Advisory Program is actually meant for people who are not full-time career coaches. Maybe some of you here may be in that role. You are in a HR role, you may be an allied educator, you may be a lecturer. So your full-time job is not really in career coaching. But however, your students, the people you come into contact with, they do approach you for some career advice. And you may feel a bit inadequate in being able to provide that advice. So this 3-day program is designed for you. Okay, we are going to run the pilot likely in July. After that, every month we will have classes. So if you are interested to know a little bit more about providing career advice to people who approach you, you can take on this shorter program. You'll also be pleased to know that we are going to start work on the career supervision program. Some of you here are very experienced career coaches, many years of experience, and you are actually providing supervision to other more junior career coaches. So you may be interested to know that we're going to develop the program, and it should be ready by the end of the year, for career supervisors, how you can mentor as well as to guide junior career coaches, especially in managing emotional issues, because your job require a lot of very high EQ in order to every day listen to the problems and go home still a happy person, right? So your career supervisor is a very important part of your life. So as for COP, as I mentioned, this is the second of a series of 5, and the theme is about the nature of work and careers in the 21st century. So today we are very happy to have Dr. Lim and Ms. Yap with us. So I will let the MC do a fuller introduction about them in a while. I also wanted to mention another exciting development today. In December, when we had the communication session, we piloted the use of this Gleaser platform, where it's interactive. You can ask questions, you can participate in poll and all that. And then in March, we continued the use. So in March, interestingly, we have people, we have a team. Some of you may know Timothy. He was in Australia, so he was actually logging in and following our COP in March. However, at that point in time, there was no sound, no picture. Okay, he only saw the slide, but he couldn't see the speaker. He couldn't hear the presentation. He saw the questions, but he didn't hear the answers. All right, so that was the March one. So at the time, we were still learning. So I'm very, very pleased to say today, we have reached a new milestone. So we have live streaming. So right now, besides you who are here, I'm not sure how many out there, they have logged into Gleaser Live. They're actually watching us live, wherever they are on their mobile devices. So in a short while, we will do a poll to see how many people have logged in, wherever they are. I heard some of the career coaches in WSG, they are going to log in or they have logged in, to follow so it's sort of like webinar. So this is a useful experiment today. We have physical, participants. We have virtual participants. And the next 3 COP that we're going to run, we're trying to run 2 of the COP as virtual webinar, 100% virtual. So if we can get speakers from other countries to participate in the COP, then you can actually have, a few speakers from Australia, Hong Kong, and all that to actually run the COP. And then all of us can watch them live through our, internet-enabled devices. So this will help us to extend the reach of the presentations to more career coaches and practitioners. So I'm very happy to experiment with this. So those of you who are watching us through the Gleaser Live, okay, in case there's any technical problem, so please bear with us. All right, give us some feedback, and we see how we can improve this live presentation so that the next COP, you have full sound, full picture, full color, everything. All right. So with this, I look forward to seeing you in future events, and I wish you a fruitful time. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Christopher. A very exciting year ahead for all of us. I do believe that your calendar is packed full as well. Now that Chris has given you a very quick introduction about what we're going to do today, we're going to get all of you started in this place. I remember, a while ago, handphones were not, particularly light in a seminar. Now we're all using our handphones openly. So that's a good thing about technology. So let me go through with you very quickly how to use the Gleaser app. I'm sure many of you have used it before. Maybe just a quick survey across the room. Have you used the Gleaser app before? Hands up. Chris, for sure. See a few hands in the hall. So don't worry, if this is your first time, it's going to be very easy. We're going to do it together. It will be a breeze. As you know, in 21st century, learning is no longer confined to the conventional classroom. So today, we're using Gleaser, an interactive audience engagement software like what Chris has introduced. And not only that, we also have live video streaming from around the world. Hello to our friends for the entire session today. So if they're watching you virtually, they can see that, there are people in the room. So remember to always keep a smile on your face if you can. And you can also view it as well if you're here with us physically. But of course, we're going to give preference to our virtual participants. Now, I'm going to run through the Gleaser and on-site audience right now. This is the moment where you fish out your mobile phones. So please take out your phones and have it in your hand. This is very nice because I usually ask people to keep their phones during events. This is the event that I like where I ask you to hold the phone in your hand openly. So I'm going to ask you to tap onto our free Wi-Fi. So please turn on your Wi-Fi enabled device, the button that you're using to enable your Wi-Fi, and log on to LLI Guest. That's the name that you want to look for if you want to log on to our Wi-Fi. I see heads down and up. And the password It's actually written there. I will read it out for you slowly, okay? LLI 408601. Very secure password. No one's going to crack this. Are you guys all in on our Wi-Fi already? Yes? I see some nods. Do you need a little bit more time? You guys are very fast. I think we're going to move on to the next step. So, to access the presentation slide, please access Glizzer via the following link. It's a long link as well, so I'm going to give you a little bit of time. Or I can see some of you already holding up your phone because you know what to do. You're using your QR reader to scan, so that's a lot faster as well. But if you prefer to key in glsr.it/WSGCOP 201-80605. Alternatively, like what you're doing right now, scan the QR code and immediately it will come on to your phone. I hope you're there right now. And the next step actually is for our virtual participants. You guys all good? Do I need to go back one slide for you? Yes? I'm looking at friends at the back. All good. Okay, so this is actually for our virtual participants. Now, they're already logged on right now watching us, but if you know of someone who wants to log on and stream us from your office, this is useful for you to pass it on. So this is, of course, the access for people who are not physically with us here today. You can pass on this image, send it to your friends, or maybe your colleague at your workplace can also watch you live streaming from Glizzer. Are you guys all good? Shall we move on to the next step? I see a few more photos being taken. I'll wait for you. And good. I think we'll move on. So once you key in the link or scan the QR code, remember to key in your email address to join, and you get access to the presentation. Very quickly, if you know your email address, key in right now, and you're going to join us in this forum. So there you go. Easy peasy. I'll give you a little bit of time to key in your email address. I can see some of you typing away. All good? Fantastic. So I'm going to ask you, my friends right here on site, my on-site friends, we will appreciate if you log in to the first link. All right, you can see that there are two different links. I'm going to ask you to log into the first one and not the Glizzer Live because you'll be hearing from our speakers face-to-face anyway. So we'll free up the bandwidth for our online virtual audience. Thank you very much. Once again, log on to the very first link. Are we all in together? Yes, I can see some questions. Do you guys need some help over there? All good? All good. Fantastic. You guys are doing okay? Thank you. So once we're in, we'll be able to see this page. Are you guys all seeing this together with me? Yes? You need some help? We'll wait for you for just a little while. Maybe we can turn to our neighbors on the left and right and give a little bit of guidance, especially if you're a little bit ahead, like maybe you're one step ahead. And then we'll give a little bit of help. We'll just wait for some of you. The rest of you guys, are you all in? Can I get a nod? Yeah? Okay, fantastic. So I'm going to run through this very quickly, how you use Glizzer. Now, you can see that we have icons below the screen. That's why I'm pointing to you right now. We have a cursor there too. So you can click on this icon to post questions to our speakers. The little bubble chat. Once again, that's the icon for you to post questions to our speakers. So after you hear our first speaker, Dr. Lim, you'll be able to post questions that we'll answer during the panel discussion, all right? Simple, easy peasy. And also as well, you can click on this icon for a quick reference of the slides shown so far. So the 4 squares that you see there, you can click onto it and you have a closer look on the slide. Also very simple. So we've done 2 icons. We are going to move on to the next one. You can also click on like on a particular slide. So that will help you understand, all right, this slide means something to me. I'd like to go back to it in the future. You can give it a heart sign, and then you will like the slide. You'll be able to access to it much faster. All good? Yes? And now for a quick survey, like what Chris has mentioned. We want to get you guys to be very participative. We are going to, of course, ask you, my friends right here on site with me, and also my friends watching live. Hi. This is what we're going to do. What is your mode of participation? So If you're watching us from Australia or watching us from England, hi, click onto virtual audience. But if you're on site, you know what to do. I think you're the majority right here. And immediate results. This is live, okay? I'll give you a little bit of time to start clicking away. So it tells me that about 13 to 12% are watching us online. Thanks for joining us. I hope that everything's clear in full color and HD for you. And the rest of the majority, of course, you guys are right here. So thank you so much for taking part in our quick survey. Majority, of course, are right here with us physically. Thank you so much for practicing Glizzer. I believe after this session, you guys are going to be experts at using this software. So once again, do me a favor. If you see your neighbors on your left or on your right needing a little bit of help, would you be patient and kind and offer your assistance to get them on the same page? Thank you so much for your cooperation. All right. Now that you guys practice your Glizzer movement, we're going to head straight into our presentation. Now, today, we're very honored to invite Dr. Lim to speak on human capital in an age of disruption. So allow me to introduce Dr. Lim. Dr. Lim Lai Cheng is the Executive Director at SMU Academy and Fellow of the School of Social Sciences at Singapore Management University, or as you know as SMU. She oversees SMU's Skills Future Agenda, professional continuing education, and also technology-related innovation in teaching and learning. She has extensive experience in the Singapore education system and has played many key roles in corporate communications, curriculum planning, and policy development at the Education Ministry headquarters. I'm very excited to hear our first speaker. She went around to say hi to you, so I'm very sure you're very familiar with her already. Please put your hands together to welcome Dr. Lim Lai Cheng. Thank you so much for joining us. Despite a very busy day, we really appreciate your presence.
Hi, everyone. A very good afternoon to all of you. I went around just to assess whether I have a friendly audience. And I can confirm I have a friendly audience. And some of you have seen me before in other occasions, and thank you for remembering me and for coming back to hear more. I really am not an expert. I mean, I've been in education for a long time. My MOE friends know, I've been in MOE 28 years or so before I joined SMU. And I'm glad there are also some NUS, NTU friends here. There's so much to learn, and it's different all the time. So the last few years have been a huge learning curve for me because outside of education, things are changing so fast. And inside of education, of course, we have got different types and different profiles of students. And then, of course, within Singapore, within the job market, it's a different ballgame. And then, of course, WSG, SSG, MOE started coming up, ramping up training, and all of us are caught in a whirl of, yes, we need to restructure, we need to upskill. So as career advisors and all that, you are such optimistic, positive people. I feel that when talking to you. So I think we know that we need to be looking at more of the positive rather than some of the negative implications of disruption. So I want to hear from you because I think you are closer to the ground. I think you all can give me some important insights too, which will help us all as we work towards continuing education in the academies all around the polytechnics and IHLs. I go to Europe about three times a year, and it's not a nice feeling in Europe because I don't sense that optimism, especially with Brexit, especially in Central Europe where I've helped to build a few schools because they want to make a difference. And this report caught my eye because it's not, in a way, good news for my friends in Europe, especially those who are older, because you're not getting permanent jobs anymore. And if you click on this link, which I can't because this is PDF, you will see that even medical doctors, which is so prestigious here, are getting only one-year contracts or so. They can't even secure permanent jobs after spending all that time training in and fighting for places in universities in Europe just to go through medical training, right? So it is not a nice, optimistic prospect. But yet, on the other hand, in emerging economies, in more vibrant economies, you've got young people who are actually happy not having permanent contracts. Yeah, and they are happy to be moving in and out of different roles, keeping agile, spending money and enjoying as they work on, and not fearing or wondering where their stability is. And I think our Singaporean youths are caught in between, right? Some are still listening to parents saying, I need you to settle down, I need you to show me that you're going to be okay by yourself. But others, because they come now from more affluent families, they're easy, right? They don't fear that there will be no roof over their head because they can always go back and stay with their parents. So I think we're a bit of an in-between. Okay, let me change. Okay, let me tell you 5 little stories here, just to illustrate some of the things I'm getting from my interaction with friends as well as a few people. I have a very good friend I've known for the last 30 years. I've seen her, move up her career, and she was doing so well as an accountant. And they were going to send her because she's one of the talents they're managing to the US. But in the last 2 years, when she had to make that decision, she decided to stay because of the 2 young boys and the education. This year, she got retrenched. How can someone who's been on a fast track, being talent managed, being offered a lovely job in the US, in 2 years' time, been told, sorry, the regional head's going to take over, we don't need you anymore because we are consolidating. And so she's stuck, right? And having done so well within a certain job area, it's going to take a lot to be so agile to move on to a new area. And she's no longer that young, right? Second story is this. I have another friend who was in the financial industry, new friend. He was working in a number of banks, did very well, went to London, was doing financial modeling for the banks, and again, fast track, came back, decided to join a blockchain startup. And he's working with 2 Frenchmen on a new token, which would be what they hope would be used for sustainable enterprises. Okay, so here's someone who's got, I think, a great career, but decided to do a startup because it's exciting with blockchain and all. And then finding that it's really hard to make ends meet because it's a great idea, but it's going to take a while before people adopt this idea of a green token or a coin that's going to fuel industries that care about sustainable or green businesses. But it's an ideal he's pursuing. 2 young government scholars. I used to head a very strong institution that produces a lot of scholars, right? So one of them came to me back from Duke University on a PSC scholarship. He was very disturbed. He needed to see me because I was his principal, but no longer his principal. He said, I want to break bond because whilst I was in the US, it's so exciting. I started a company and I've been a long time wanting to help because I used to have asthma. I want to create devices that's going to help people with asthmatic conditions. And I found this great device. I've even employed a CEO. He's like 50 years old. So this guy's only like 20-ish. He's employed a CEO who's American, who's 50 years old. And I've got a company now. I want to break bond because if I wait, I can't do this company. I said, don't break bond. I have to give him the right answer. And I said, for the sake of your school, your parents, don't break bond. Why don't you hang out for a while and get to know, within a government organization, how it works so that next time you have good networks and you will need the help of the government even if you start a company. So it's better not to be on the wrong side. And he's still hanging on, right? But these are young scholars who used to say, because I've got a great scholarship, I'm going to be getting a great admin job and I'm going to sometime or other write that letter and maybe be invited to tea and then wear white and then I'm okay, right? They're no longer thinking of that, which is nice. Second government scholar was a local one. He got a spring scholarship, so spent 2 years and then went to university and is very entrepreneurial. And because he was in spring, he was also working with a lot of startups and he's decided to come out after his 6 years of bond to create a kind of incubator for young people who want to do businesses. So again, if I were his parents, I would say, look, you've got a great career ahead. Why are you switching course like this? So now he lives in a rented apartment, which also is a kind of like office space, with his co-workers, like 4 or 5 of them, helping young incubators, right? But they have the energy, they have their ideals. We'll see. One general practitioner, my favorite GP, I go to him if I'm ill, and he's not young anymore. And he decided to hire a lot of Vietnamese programmers and all, and he started a health mobile sort of app. But it is really a network where they provide on-call video conferencing if anytime you want to see a doctor you can't find. But they also can actually, within their networks of health practitioners, allow people who can't get appointments to see him, to see others within the network. And they can even collect the medicines from across the GP. So they don't need the guardians anymore. And there are a lot of other apps. So you've got someone at this age who is 50 or coming to 50, starting a huge technological enterprise like that. So it's no longer just for the young people. All these stories are really to say, 5 years ago, I wouldn't have thought any one of them would be in this situation. Because if I imagine that everyone is stable and they're at this stage of their lives and their trajectory is as I have always predicted, then these stories wouldn't have happened. So they were very surprising for me. And that's just like 5 years ago, right? Yeah. So we've got, I think you all know all this, a new generation, the largest workforce we have, and we have to think and treat them differently because they're no longer looking for the stable job, but they're also looking for a sense of mission. They're looking for culture. And with their expectations, with their volatility, and the volatility of the economy, I guess you have a lot on your hands, right? Because how do you balance the expectations of both sides? And so this is one other factor that I want to have us have at the back of our heads. I Googled a lot about the different generations, and this is my summary of what I have Googled. And some parts might be surprising to you because, right, so a number of you I notice are probably born in the mid-60s. We're still comfortable with print, but moving on, although the millennials are okay with text, they are actually more comfortable with different devices and screens and all. But look at the new ones that are in our schools now. They're in our universities now, the Gen Z or the Gen Z. They think in 4D. What does that mean? They can deal with 5 screens. They want to make stuff. I'm happy just using things. I don't want to know how it's made. You know, like, it's okay. I'll call the AA if my car breaks down. I really don't want to fix my own tire and things like that. But they like to make things. They are very blended in the sense that they're very accommodating. There's no clear sense of race and gender. They're happy interacting across cultures. So this is an interesting new breed who are in our schools right now. So for those of you who are counseling at the university level, yeah, just be a bit more aware that they're slightly different from the Generation Y, and they are a bit more judicious with regards to technology. They're more careful now. They don't reveal all. Okay, so given that businesses are no longer that stable and jobs are no longer that predictable, technology is the other key thing that's going to have to make us run faster and shape up and change our whole view as to how businesses or even lives or education should be run. So I'm going to focus a bit more on technology. I know this Chinese businessman, and he bought over a web platform from a British woman which allows for all international schools to have space there when they pay a license to share whatever is different about their schools and put up videos, and then this website would do analytics to tell them how many people are looking for this kind of schools all across the world. And it has a kind of Airbnb kind of web to tell you exactly where the locations are and what's around there. His business model was very different from the British lady. The British lady was just comfortable selling these licenses and encouraging international schools to sign on and pay her like £1,000 over a year just to be on that site. For him, after 3 years, he realized that that wasn't working because they were still not making ends meet. They were spending so much on the engine itself and on the marketing, it was not worth it. And he said, for all of my businesses, if they don't make profits in 3 years, it's just not worth carrying on. And his idea was that if he were to take over totally, he would make all the licensing free. He wants all the schools and international schools in the world to be on it. He wants all the Chinese schools to be on it, so he'll create a Chinese version, and he will sell stuff on it, meaning tuition, SAT, coaching, professional development of teachers, etc. Can you imagine the difference between the two models? One is still old world, British, old world, China, platform, network economy. You do things on a platform. You don't sell virtual retail space or real estate on a platform. That's not the way the Chinese work. Yeah, so this is just a story to illustrate that. Enterprise agility is or are the keywords at this point in time, if you want to make it work. So there are all models of education. We know that. The Minister for Education keeps harping on it, right? That the degree is no longer the sort of anchor or your sole sort of a solid credential moving ahead. Not all of us need to have degrees. It's the skills that matter. So the new model of education is really stemming from the US, actually, or interestingly, kids who realize that they don't really need a 4-year degree or to spend 4 years in university in the first part of their lives. They don't mind doing other things first and slowly build their credentials bit by bit. So this is a movement called Uncollege. And there is a new trend of micro-credentialing, the new trend of badging and nano degrees, so that you combine different sort of modules from across universities and package it and say, look, I've got this whole credential, would you endorse me that, I'm good to go? And even if I'm not good to go, do I need that university degree? Because a lot of the fast-moving platform industries will hire me without a degree because I've got the skill. I've got the skill in digital marketing, I've got the skill in data security, I've got the skill in cyber penetration testing and cyber skills and all that. So this is one model that is changed. The other model, which I've shared on other occasions, is job search. The previous job search is I go to a career advisor or I go to a headhunter or I apply for jobs and I look at ads and then I send in my CVs. The new way of job search really is about... Can someone click for me? Yeah. It is about talent matching using AI, artificial intelligence, right? So I know that with SSG, WSG, there is a job bank, but JobTech is another company that is a startup that's using a lot of AI to help you actually track what jobs are available and what are the skills needed. And when you upload your CV, they can even help you match against the competencies and tell you which are the best matched ones for you. So for those of you who are not familiar with it, please look at it because it gives real-time job vacancies because they troll the net. And they'll tell you, like, if I'm looking for a job in retail and wholesale, which are the ones that are being advertised? What are the skills needed? And they get you to that website which publishes that. And if you look at it, the most common vacancies, or the vacancies with the most number, banking and finance. So you're going to ask our speaker next why there are so many vacancies for banking and finance, when a lot of banking people are losing jobs too, right? A lot of financial people are losing jobs. The second most popular one at 1,100, Infocom technologies. And we know that, right? The IT folks are very well sought after. Retail is also vastly disrupted because you all don't go to your Orchard Road malls anymore. Some of you might go to your city, the suburban malls, but some of you don't even go to malls. You order stuff online and all. So one example I want to give you is this. My friends and I behind were looking for tote bags for a festival. I needed 3,500. So I posted a request on Alibaba.com. Within 2 hours, I had 3 quotes. And my institution requires me to have 3 quotes. They did it for me already. They searched and they got 3 quotes for me within 2 hours. And then they emailed me, this guy from one of the companies that I like, emailed me to ask for more details. So I asked for a sample. I got the sample sent to me from Beijing, in 3 days, my doorstep. So I could decide, have a look and feel. And of course, the 3 quotes mean it was very cheap. 95 cents US dollars per tote bag, when the last one I paid was $5 per tote bag for another event, okay? So can you imagine the competition here? You get it within 3 days, the actual sample, and they say they could do the 3,005 in 10 days. Because it was not my event, I didn't dare take them on, so I went for a safer option. So we'll see. But if it were my event, I might give them a try. Because some people are telling me, hey, what if they send you the 3,000 and then 1,000 of them are good, but the rest are bad? What do you do? And I realized Alibaba.com is quite good. They secure it and tell you, please don't do transactions with a company outside of the platform. Yeah. And for the sample that they sent me, because I paid like $8 US or so, they would wait for a while and ask whether I was satisfied before they send the money to the company. So they actually, they guarantee for you the quality, which means that if you're not satisfied with the 3,005 later on, there is a way where you can actually redress or ask for a complete set of quality before they get paid, the remittance gets transmitted. Okay, I'm going to go quickly on. Real estate. I was in Chengdu, and I was told a beautiful children's bookshop that is doing very well. And I thought, in this day and age, a children's bookshop, why would it be doing well? So I went to visit it, and it's not really a children's bookshop. It's a beautiful space, lots of little cafes, and lots of little enrichment corners for kids where parents can pay to do arts and different sorts of things. And they make their money from events space. So it's not really the bookshop that's selling, it's the event space that people use, to hold their events, and their big teddy bears and all to attract the kids. And because of the outlets and all, they'll give you a discount. So you become a member, and whatever you do within that big space, you get a discount. So they lock you into a whole series of service. This is interesting real estate change, because a lot of our malls are facing that challenge. How do I get people to take up spaces? Do I convert it into more kids' corners or enrichment centers? Do I have exercise, those gyms and then Muay Thai sort of boxing places? What do I do with it? Do I have more cafes? So retail is challenging. Accounting is challenging, as we know. So new models, old models. But in the midst of change, one thing I want to remind you of is this, that even with technology, the future of work is human. And we're still dealing with humans, right? And the people are really the stewards of technology. So what are the traits in the people that we want to see who can actually ride and overcome the challenges of technology? And I want to just give you 2 examples of reviews. One is by a company called GH Smart. This was I took it from Harvard Business Review. They surveyed 17,000 C-suites and 2,000 over CEOs over 10 years. Quite a remarkable survey. And the top 4 qualities of a CEO that is differentiating, the top 4 qualities are here. Someone who can decide with speed. Fast decision makers. We all know CEOs who can't decide, right? They are quite painful, right? Sorry, I'm not talking about the important people here. Back to the previous slide, the second one, engaging for impact. Yeah, are you able to seize the occasion and make sure whatever strategy you use is impactful, adapting proactively because things change, and then delivering reliably? Let's look at the Korn Ferry one in the next slide. Korn Ferry also did their survey of top talent traits they expect. Someone who's got record from past experience, someone who's self-aware, who's got the drive, who's got logic and reasoning. But then look at the last 2. Ability to manage derailment risks, which means resilience, adaptability, right? But what is their number 1 predictor of career success? Agility, how agile a person is, okay? So back to the 5 stories I told you. Were some of those agile? Obviously, right? They didn't ride the traditional pathway. They were able to switch across, and they didn't mind pursuing their passion or their dream because of that. I'm going to end with 2 last slides, and I will do this very quickly because I've got NTU, NUS people here. SMU has just launched its new core curriculum for next year, and I didn't ask permission to show this, but I'm going to show it anyway. And when we were deliberating the Committee for Future Economy, I did kind of a feedback session with about 40 faculty members to say what are the new skills that are needed. So some of these are there. You know, someone who can do discipline, but also multidiscipline, someone who can collaborate and communicate well, and who can problem solve and all. So these are not new, you know this. But just to give you a sense of the new curriculum, we're focusing a lot on intercultural understanding, sensitivity, personal mastery as in resilience, positivity, like all of you. But look at this, calculus, computational thinking. Why? Because the top jobs in the infocom places are all data science, analytics, and all of the civil servants have been asked to, you know, make sure they know about data analytics. And for that, you need mathematical thinking. You can't run away from that. And even though there's so many jobs in the infocom place, how many of your people can you advise to go into it? You can't, because your brain is already wired a certain way. There is no way you can quickly switch a person from a generalist to being an IT savvy or person who can deal with computational thinking and the serious R programming, Python, and all of that. So, but it is so necessary. Yeah. And then we have other areas like, look, design thinking, innovation, right? The government is stressing a lot on that. The creativity, innovation, the new thinking, which yeah, you'll be hearing more of. And then, interestingly, languages. Yeah. The reason why a lot of us can't go to China or the region is also a language issue. But how many of our graduates want to do language? No, they want to learn French, they want to learn German, but they're not going to want to learn Thai or Vietnamese or Indonesian or Bahasa because of some biases, right? So this is it. Quickly go to the next slide. Yes, you didn't see it. So we've got a new core curriculum because we know we have to adapt. And the SMU kids, even though they are okay in terms of job search, I think they need to do better. And so we are trying to make them stronger this way. Thank you very much. I'll take your questions later.
Thank you. A round of applause for Dr. Lim for the very insightful presentation and showing us some secrets that you guys have to keep to yourself. So with that, Dr. Lim, can I invite you downstage to take a rest? Thank you so much. Once again, let me quickly recap for you what we just heard from Dr. Lim. I think it was very eye-opening for me. I myself learned a lot. It was very educational, I must say. So today, what we learned from Dr. Lim, you shared and she shared about the characteristics among different generations. Are you a millennial in this place? Anyone? To fall among the age group, I can see a few small, tiny hands. I think I'm somewhere between a millennial and yeah, I think I'm a millennial. I hope I am. So we learned about the differences between all the different generations within the workforce and how you can, of course, understand the diversity to help advise your clients and better prepare them for the demands of the job. And also as well, Dr. Lim shared about the impact of technology advancement and how it affects the future of credential and talent search. It's all about skills matching. And hence, as a career practitioner yourself, you can advise your clients to acquire the new job skills, calculus perhaps required for future. So I hope this was very useful for you. And let us all be creators with deep expertise and competency in the domain of practice. Allow me to introduce our next speaker to you. I think it's going to be very interesting. Once again, I'd like to remind you that we have a panel discussion towards the end of the session. So even now, if you have a question already, key into Glizzer, you keep it on your notes as well, and then fire them away now or even later. And then, of course, it's all about the voting system. The one that has the most vote gets to be answered first. So start keying away right now as we're talking. So our next speaker, Ms. Yap Ai Wee, Head of Learning and Development, Group Human Resources, OCBC Bank. Let me tell you a little bit more about Ms. Yap. Now, she spent 15 years in Singapore Airlines, giving all of her best in areas as diverse as corporate sales, product innovation, and loyalty management. She also, of course, made the leap into the banking industry about 10 years ago, and she heads up the Service Transformation, a 400-strong team of dedicated contact centers professionals in Singapore and also Malaysia. Now, she doubled as a data protection officer and is now the head of OCBC Campus, the only corporate city campus in Singapore. Ladies and gentlemen, sharing with us the new learning model, this is going to be very interesting, the why, the what, and the how. So, ladies and gentlemen, please do me a favor, put your hands together to welcome our second speaker, Miss Yap Iwi. Thank you very much. We got fans right here. We're excited to hear from you. Thank you so much.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay. Okay, I'm Ivy. I head up the OCBC campus. So today I'm here to provide a sort of corporate perspective. So I'm shooting a bit in the dark here. So, please, we'll keep it casual. If there's certain things that you want to hear a little bit more about, please, just feel free to interrupt me. So I called this the new learning model. When I took on L&D about 2.5 years ago, one of the reasons why I accepted the challenge was because my boss said, Ivy, you have the mandate to transform, okay? So I said, oh, that sounds very exciting to me. So here I am to tell you a little bit about the reason why we felt it was necessary to change and how we went about doing it and some of the things that we've started rolling out. Just like Dr. Lim, who went before me, we are no experts, but we are very, very open to share what we feel has worked, as well as some of the learnings that we've got along the way. Sorry, I have to point there, yeah. With this room full of experts, I don't think I have to talk very much about the why. I think we know why we need to change. Beyond AI, I was just talking to Christopher earlier on before the session began. In the bank, the financial services industry is one of the most significantly impacted. And we're talking about beyond AI. We're talking about every aspect of our life will change, right? So robotic process automation, that is very real, okay? Digitization, I just recently got my entire L&D team on, is it Microsoft 365? And now it's got a whole series of things that were previously not possible. All your sharing tools, your collaborative tools. So every single one of us is being impacted. So it's beyond AI. Okay, by 2020, more than 1/3 of future core skills will be new. For the financial services industry, it is closer to 50%. What this means for me as a head of campus, it means that in about 3 years, 50% of my course, all my curricula have to change, okay? So that's a pretty significant change. We spoke quite extensively about this, the changing nature of the workforce. In the bank, and this is the bank snapshot, we're finding an increasing number of the younger mingling with an increasing number of the older. And we know, 2 generations apart, they don't understand each other, let alone work with each other. So this has a lot of impact on the way learning is being developed. We have to be very, very sensitive to the different needs and the way that the different generations learn. So the what? You may be aware that, sometime last month, the bank launched something called the Future Smart Initiative. This is just one of the numerous initiatives that we've launched. Future Smart is a way that we've kind of like, sometimes you're telling them the same thing, but you have to sell it in a sexier way. So we thought, Smart Nation, Future Smart seems quite aligned, okay? So we came up with a not very creative name called Future Smart. But it was a very long journey. And what we wanted to do with the initiative was to be very clear as to the 7 areas in which our people will need to be skilled up in the future. So these are the 7 areas. The first 5, digital business models, is talking about ecosystems, all right? In the bank, we have been significantly disrupted by payment models. They have very different business models, but we are still going, when we go to our merchants, we are still selling our, those ATM card swipe machines. I think the day, is long gone. So our people need to be very, very familiar with these new business models. How are the payment businesses actually getting money or earning revenue from it? And then we need to understand, is this an opportunity for us or is this a threat for us? So it involves, I think I agree with Dr. Lim earlier, that there's a heavy element of critical thinking and cognitive skills that's important in this preparation for the digital world. Tech and data, don't need to talk very much about it. There's a lot of skills, but in the bank, we're quite realistic. We don't expect everyone to be very tech savvy. But I think we have to be very familiar with technology. We have to be comfortable with it. We cannot be afraid of it. So that's what we mean by tech and data. New risks. Banks are very big on this. With new technology, new marketing media, new everything, there is new risks. Okay? So I was also sharing earlier, the way we are approaching it in a bank is we tell our employees that the new world is impacting every one of us, not only because you're an employee of the bank, but also in your personal capacity. All of us have many digital devices. So my mom, my dad, they have that iPad, there's a little video camera, they have a CCTV in the room. All these things are hackable, and they are being hacked on a daily basis. These are new risks that our people have to be alert to. So when we share new risks, we tell them about the impact on their personal life as well. Our philosophy is that at the end of the day, we are interested in equipping our employees from a whole person perspective, not simply because we want you to be able to create more value from the bank. Customer centricity, okay, so design thinking, usability, we're very big on that. Marketing and comms, social media, okay? So that's also very important. The last two are very important for us as well. They are what we call the skill set pillars. We know we can teach you all the skills, but if you come back to work and everybody in your department is still working in a non-digital way, you're back to square one. So we are very, very acutely aware of the fact that the processes in the bank have to change. The way we do things, the policies we have, the organizational structure, the way we form teams, the way we collaborate, all that has to change, and that is the way we work. And I think, most important aspect is leadership. Leadership in the future world. One of the challenges that we face is you find that generally the younger employees are very, raring to change. They are natives. But it's the older ones who maybe a little bit skeptical, maybe a little bit, I don't understand this, not so embracing of new ideas. So we are quite clear in our messaging. We talk to the CEO, we talk to the management committee, we engage with the division heads one-on-one. We take the time to socialize the ideas, to get their feedback, so that once everybody has more or less got their sort of buy-in, okay, then it becomes an easier sell. So that was the journey that we took for Future Smart, and these are the 7 big pillars, okay? The most interesting part is the how lah, okay? Over the next few slides, I'll share with you some of the things that the L&D team has done over the last 2.5 years. We focus very much on our customer, and our customer is every employee. In Singapore, we have 7,000 employees. So to us, we are selling a product, and the product is learning. Gone are the days when I hold a gun to your head and say, nah, go and attend training, do it or die. You can do that for compulsory learning, but everything else, is not possible. So we have to adopt a more marketing mindset. We need to make our learning experience engaging and frictionless. The other key component is we are very learner-centric. Just like if you're selling a product to your customer, it's very customer-centric. We try very hard to be learner-centric. And finally, branding. We do a lot of, we make a lot of effort to package the content so that it's appealing to our learners. This is sorry, it's come out a bit small, but over here is, this one doesn't work, huh? The top piece there is actually our learning management system, is the landing page. Doesn't look like very much, but it took us like 9 months to get to that level of simplicity. If you can see, basically it's 9 grids, and there you just have all the courses that we have simplified, so it's very easy for you to find a program. If you're a first-time user, you have mouse over, you can, see where you can click, and, to help you navigate. Okay. So this is a snapshot of our learning management system again. So for every program, we have developed an icon so that We were going for the Netflix look, but this is a bit far from Netflix, but you kind of get the general idea. Okay, the idea is that it looks kind of colorful, I think it beats rows and rows of, text, okay? So from here, you can easily see that, there's 6 programs that pop out immediately. One of them is a boat, okay? It's actually for some of the program that we have on sailing and things like this. So, and then you can browse. At the top there is an intelligent search. So it's like those Google search, right? Frictionless, as a manager, is a one-click button. I can assign programs for my team. If the course is full, I can waitlist. It's a click of a button. I can register interest, and I can tell the campus team, please notify me when this program is available in future. Email notifications, the moment you get a program, you get an email notification, it goes direct into your Outlook calendar, so you never have an excuse to say, I forgot that, my training was on that day. So let's say for new joiners, especially those who are, let's say, in sales, they go through a very rigorous sort of onboarding program. It's 6 weeks long. So we bundle everything for you in a certain sequence, okay, and it's all laid out to you. The page is customized to you. You also have a completion status tracking, so you know exactly where you are. This is a screenshot of HR in our pocket. So the way we approach technology is we do not believe that people should be going to different portals to be logging on to different services. So HR in a pocket is an all-in-one HR app for the employee. So as you can see there, you have your beautiful face there, okay? And then you have Flex, which is our sort of compensation plan. Leave, you can take leave, you can search for people, you can, what's the others? There's a chat bot, right? The bottom right. We even have a chat bot. That was also entirely developed in-house. So by the end of this year, we will have learning inside there. So the idea is that as an employee, you have one-stop portal, okay? You use fingerprint, scanning, and then you just log on to it, and you can do all your HR transactional as well as experiential services there. So if you can just, can you just pause this for a while? So the next video I'm going to show you is about how we're moving towards sort of learner-centric experiences. We started experimenting with things like AR, okay? And AR is for some types of programs and it's for some type of students. It's not for everyone. So take a look at how we've used this.
Let it ready. Let it
Okay, so that particular video clip shows predominantly the way we've used AR to engage our new joiners to the bank. So we have a half-day onboarding program, and we found that the typical way of doing onboarding, PowerPoint presentation after PowerPoint was one of the most uninviting, unwelcoming first days, of anybody's life. So we, in fact, we got, this particular video was done by an intern, and, we got the Zappar codes and all that. Basically, it was a free software. So the idea is that when we try with new technologies like this, we go for the cheapest possible option out there. We test it out, it's not perfect, but then once we start iterating, we find that, people enjoy this, and the new joiners really like this. So we do this entire half day is at a campus, and as you saw, we use the QR codes for them to understand bits and pieces about the organization, and then there's competitions weaved in. So this is an example where AR and QR scan codes have been used fairly effectively in trying to reach out to a certain segment. Sorry, back. Oops. Yeah, the other way that we've been quite learner-centric is, as L&D, I sit on a huge amount of data. I know everything about you, right? I know your grade. I know when you were last promoted. I know, what programs you've taken. I know that you have not attended any new manager program, and I know exactly. Let's say, this year, 200 people got promoted to manager rank. So it is. We can send out very personalized learning recommenders directed and straight into your email, okay? So this has proven extremely effective. The truth is that we all have so many things in our life, okay? The last thing we have time for is to go into, the learning management system and go and find things for myself. But if I send something direct to your email, you go, oh yeah, why don't I take that? So we've got very, very good feedback on this one. One of the other things that we've started doing, and definitely for the future smart piece, is that we're quite realistic. Not everybody needs to arrive at a certain level of proficiency. So for Future Smart, we've identified 3 key proficiency levels, from awareness to literacy to practitioner. And for awareness level, what are we talking about? Awareness level is for everybody in the bank. It just means that you need to understand the definitions. You need to know what they mean. You need to understand what blockchain means, what Internet of Things means. Have a working understanding. Literacy means you need to get exposed to case studies, the examples of where the bank has started using this, what it means to you or the organization. And for practitioner, not many practitioners for each of the skill pillars in the bank, but at practitioner level, you're doing that stuff on a day-to-day basis. So if I am working in the Open Vault, which is our tech incubator, then I need to be very up on tech and data on a practitioner level. What we do then is for every division, we actually engage the division head and his senior team to say, among the roles in your division, who needs to be up to what level in which pillar? It's not as complicated as that, but it's we need to get over the initial, I really need to do this. Yeah, you actually need to do this. So for instance, if I'm in branch banking, do my tellers need to be at literacy level for tech and data? Maybe not. But my tellers need to be up to practitioner level for new risks because of the nature of their job. What this requires is that all our senior leaders need to think critically about job roles and the implication on learning. This makes it a lot easier for my team because then I can know what the demand is. From there, I can have role-based individual learning development plan. So this is what we're going through right now. It is work in progress. Yeah? Can you just stop this for a while? Okay, the next video is another example of how we've kind of toyed with using different kinds of technology to cater to a different segment this time, and that's our sort of VP and above segment, people who need to be exposed to sort of new ideas, new concepts, new technologies, but usually are too busy to attend conferences. We call this Learning Conference Comes to You. Can you play the video?
Good morning, it's me again, Maggie, from Learning and Development, from the OCBC campus. Today is the third day of the Singapore FinTech Festival, and it marks the first day of the conference. We are right here at the Singapore Expo. There are many exhibitors around us and also a lot of speakers that line up. Meanwhile, there is one latest technology we thought that would be quite interesting, and by the way, it can cure my hunger and some thirst right now. So let's take a look at what's in the vending machine. Let's go.
Hi, can I help you?
Yes. I'm trying to get a drink.
Okay.
But there doesn't seem to be a
Okay.
coin dispenser.
This is actually because this vending machine do not accept coins or cash today, not even EZ-Link cards.
Oh.
Because MasterCard developed an application called Quicker, where you will make payments in-app using your credit or debit card today.
I see.
Yes, so let me just run you through how you can do this.
Okay.
What would you like
be
to
great.
have today?
I like actually a green tea.
Okay, green tea 61. So you just
Right.
have to key 61 into this application called Quicker. In this bottom corner, you can see MasterPass. MasterPass is actually a digital wallet created by MasterCard. So prior to this, if you are a first-time user of the application, you have to enter your credit card information, your personal details, where would have been saved in this application securely.
Right.
So you just have to swipe here.
Okay.
You will bill your credit card or debit card.
Okay.
And just with this simple swipe, the payment is completed.
Right.
So you can see your green tea is dropping
Yes.
and it's dispensed.
All right.
Here you
there
go.
we go. Yes, we have a
Green tea.
green tea.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's actually Maggie. She's one of my team. So being on my team is pao ka liao, literally. So what we did again, we just used the simplest technology. So we used an iPhone, and but the problem with iPhone is that it tends to shake a lot. So we found a gyroscope, and we bought one for like $200 or something like this, and that stabilizes it. We had a remote a mic that you could mic yourself up, and off we went. Right, so this one we're doing this for many years now. So we've done 2 Singapore FinTech Fests in a row, and Money 2020 and all that. It's become extremely helpful because try as you might, there's only maybe like 100 people that any organization can release to go to conferences such as this. But what we do is that we station a team of L&D people at the conference, and now we've got a little bit more more professional. So we actually grab people from our organization and we say, can you attend this conference and then give us 3 takeaways that you got from this conference, and then by the end of the day, we are able to roll these videos out direct to all our employees in the bank. Yeah. So I was talking about the payment space being disrupted. So something like this is actually very important for us to bring to the rest of the bank because it's an example of how payment is being disrupted. And it's, what's 2 minutes? So it's very digestible, okay? Yeah, so that's one of the things that we've done, and it's quite successful. Two other examples. So a lot of the interventions that we do are not necessarily learning related. So Explore is something that we launched about 1.5 years ago. It is a 3 to 6 month stint that any employee can take in another department or division of their liking. This is to encourage people to try out a completely different area. So, for instance, last year I had a young chap. He was a Frank ambassador, so he was selling credit cards, day in, day out, and he said, I want to give it a go in L&D. So he was with my team for about 6 months, and then he got exposed to the entire range of what L&D does. Thoroughly enjoyed it, and now, if he in future wants to join L&D, he will know exactly what we do and the kinds of skills that's required. So Explore is something that we have in the bank, and employees love it. Live Refresh is another one. Live Refresh is targeted at sort of the what we call the silvers. We're very mindful that among the older employees, there's this fear, and most of them have got to a certain level of seniority. So it's a little bit, hard for them to say, I want to learn a little bit more. Can you teach me? So we have something called Live Refresh. It's a branded program, and we look after all aspects of their well-being. we market it as well-being. So it's about financial well-being, technology well-being, marketing well-being, so on and so forth. So as an example of the way we do learning, one time I think we tied up with SMU, NTU and all that, and we got youngsters, you know, second year, third year, and they ran a full day app workshop. Right, so we had 4 stations. One was about, you know, lifestyle, one was on shopping, one was on fitness, and one was something else. And we had about 60 of our employees, 60 to 100 employees. They just came in for a full day, and they just went to all the different app stations where all our, you know, colleagues from and our partners from the different U's were reverse mentoring our older employees. So it was fun, it was engaging, they were actually learning, but it just didn't feel like they were in a class. So these are the different ways in which we engage the different segments, so the silvers as well as the explorers. And this is probably my second last slide. This is an example of how we feel that it's necessary for us to brand our initiatives. So at the top, you see the one with the high heels. That's our women's initiative. So we go to some lengths to, to get, nice images that's, kind of make people want to take a second look at the EDM. The one at the top right is our Future Smart, top right and the bottom right. So we created a whole series of collaterals that kind of reflected the 7 skills pillars. We even developed an app so that we could engage people. We had leaderboards and things like this. But the name Future Smart, the sort of the colors that were used were all quite deliberate. So a lot of thinking is spent in trying to make it very appealing to our employees. It even goes right down to, let's say, programs that we run. So every year we run a learning festival and we theme it. So last year we did something that was themed around Sun Tzu. And it was basically a 1-week learning festival about the different aspects of strategy. So what I'm going to show, and that will be my last video, is the video that we developed to market Sun Tzu Art of War. I think that was the last one. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Can we have a round of applause to Ms. Yap? Can I ask you to stay and join me for the panel discussion right now? Thank you so much, Ms. Yap. If I trouble you to take a seat right here, I'll be joining her on stage right now. That was really interesting. I really enjoyed the video. 孙子知彼知己，百战百胜. So if you know yourself, you know your enemies, you'll win 1,000 battles without, of course, thinking too much about it. So we're going to launch right into the panel discussion. I want to let you know that Glizzer is now waiting for you to, of course, key in your questions. I have some questions already that I was looking at. And of course, just a quick recap of what we heard from Ms. Yap. We learned about the why, which you already know why, and the what, and very interesting, the how. Yeah, we will do so in just a little bit. Yeah, and very, of course, how does augmented learning and learning on demand help to change the way we learn in all-in-one bite-sized content via our mobile apps? So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to, of course, invite our next speaker to come on stage. We saw her earlier. Can I please get Dr. Lim Lai Cheng, Executive Director of SMU Academy? A big round of applause. Thank you very much. Here you go. All right, so I'm going to just hop on over to grab a mic for Dr. Lim. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. So, thank you, ladies, for the wonderful presentation. We learned a lot today. I would say today's been very eye-opening for some of you here. It's been some new information, and I really enjoy all the PowerPoint presentations and the slides. And it's time to get all your questions answered. So I want you on Glizzer right now on my phone, and we are flashing it on the giant screen right behind us as well. I've got some notes right here. So I want to encourage you to quickly key in your questions. For the next 25 minutes or so, we will try to answer each and every one of them. We'll conclude by 7. We'll kind of like put together some of the questions. We'll lump together the similar questions. So I think the highest voted one, how do we manage Gen X, Gen, I have it down on my paper, Y and Z? Maybe what we can do is to do a quick survey around the room right now. Maybe you can show hands, all right? If you think most of your clients here are Gen X. Gen X, you talk to a lot of them. Okay, some of you, my friends over there. And you think most of your clients are from Gen Y, millennials? Do you talk to a lot of millennials? Anyone here? Someone, yes? Yes, over there. And what about Gen Z? So for those born in mid-90s and onwards. Some of you right there? Okay, so just a quick recap. Gen X, they're born in the 60s, right? Keywords to describe them: not tech-savvy, mistrust institutions. Gen Y, the millennials, they're born from mid-70s onward. I would say I'm a millennial. Slacktivist was one of the keywords I picked up as well from your slide. And also, they like to share all. And Gen Z, the youngest of the lot, mid-90s and onwards, they show prudency in sharing, all right? And also, they're very active volunteers. So it's a very similar question between how do we manage Gen X and Y and Z and helping them learn effectively together. So we'll lump them together. So importantly, let's answer the most voted question of today with 9 votes already. Thanks for voting, you guys. How do we manage Gen X, Y, and Z effectively in a team and organization? So we'll start with Dr. Lim first.
Okay, I want to keep this brief and easy. And it will be from the standpoint of the manager, not so much from the people you're dealing with. Because as a person managing a group of people, sensitivity is important, right? Being on the ground, connecting with them is important. So no matter what generation they're born, as long as they know that you listen to them, there's empathy, and you have a little knowledge of psychology to know what makes it work for them and what will engage them better, this is just how you're going to deal with them, right? So it is, I think, a general principle for all leaders and managers. You've just got to develop that empathy and be on the ground and not just dictate from your laptop instructions and KPIs and performance targets, which still happens, yeah. How to teach them to be agile and all that. I think the Gen Z don't need to be taught how to be agile. They are already so agile because the environment they grew up with has caused them to move from screen to screen, media across media, or different mediums, if you like. And so they are actually quite agile. The thing for them is really how do you keep them focused and how do you get them to commit to finishing a task that they are meant to do. So again, it is different strokes for the different categories. The ones who are, of course, older in the Gen X, it's just leading them to understand that technology is not going to be a threat if we can lighten your load for you through the use of technology. And that it's not going to replace you in terms of the work that you're doing, but to allow you to actually, to allow the company to give back the savings back to you or back to the employees through better benefits, through more time off, whatever. Right? So it's really understanding what is important for each and then trying to speak to their needs.
Thank you, Dr. Lim. You answered 2 questions at a go. That's very good. Cover a lot
Agile.
of grounds. Ms. Yop, do you have anything to add on to maybe the first question first?
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do we, persuade different generations to work together effectively in a team? So from HR perspective, what we do is we kind of dispel some of the myths. I guess, that there is always a tendency to think the worst of the other generation. So we do a lot of research among the generational differences. And I think I myself have found, after being, a little bit more open, that, for instance, the younger generations are a lot more they have a lot more values, than we might think that, we think that they have no values, they'll job hop and things like this. But increased exposure, understanding, commissioning research, and talking to young people, I think is a key to understanding. So what we do quite a lot of is that we share the results of different generational differences. We will have town halls, okay, and we invite anybody from the bank to come and listen to us. In fact, in the next 2 months, we will be, continuing with this as part of the lifelong learning tie-up with, the government. So we are, inviting people, like for instance, Gen Z panels to come on stage and for the rest of the bank to ask any question that they want. We find that sessions like this helps to break down a lot of barriers, because when you hear from the mouths of the, let's say, millennials, what motivates them, what challenges them, what are they looking for in a boss, then it helps you change your mind about certain misperceptions that you might have. The other thing that we do is that we mix the different generations together deliberately. So for instance, if we have leadership dialogues, we make the moderator a Gen Y. So this, in a way, it kind of puts them in a combination where they have to kind of start to understand each other, and then once they start interacting, they find that actually there's more about each other that's similar than dissimilar. So it's kind of the way we do things in the bank.
I think as career practitioners, it's about understanding very well who your client is. So as long as you know, like what you picked up from our panel discussion today, it's who they are. Like I love the Sun Tzu quote: if you know yourself, you know your enemy, you know that you win 1,000 battles ahead of you. So I think it's a good start right there, learning very, very distinctively how each generation communicate, and then learn how we can best communicate with them. So Dr. Lim has really answered actually our second question, which is about adapting. I think we also covered most of the ground for that. So let's jump on to another question, shall we? Which is regarding ICT and tech jobs. That's also very highly voted as well. I believe it's on my phone at 7 votes for that. Again, I want to remind you to keep all your questions coming in. If you're watching us live via streaming, hello, keep your questions coming in as well. So this one's for Dr. Lim. Now, this one's a question that goes, you mentioned that the difficulty of generalists going into ICT or tech job. So what are the future of work and human possibilities for them?
I think what I want to say is that the market is very big, right? Because there are different segments and there are different needs within the economy. If you look at job tech and maybe even SSG or WSG's job bank, you can actually see where the popular jobs are. But it doesn't mean that all of us need to go for those 3,000 over jobs or 1,000 over jobs. If you ask employers what they're looking for, not everyone, of course, is looking for an ICT guy, a data analyst, or a admin officer or general manager able to do analytics. When I advertise jobs, and in my area it's really business development, logistics, admin, dealing with SSG grants, WSG grants, you know. I need someone meticulous and someone who can sit at a desk and do that work without, you know, jumping out all the time like a Gen Z, needing to be talking to others and all. So there are still valuable, good old-fashioned traits I'm looking for. Someone who can sit at a desk, focus, deliver, don't make mistakes, be meticulous. But yet, for a BD person, I need someone who is out there able to just chat with people and be communicative and then show that you care and you have those social interactive skills. Right? So those are generalists, if we sort of take this question at face value, that I appreciate. So again, I don't need the strict IT guys. But some of the courses I do, which are most marketable, are the ones where we teach people serious skills, like digital marketing, search engine optimization, social media marketing, data analytics, the R programming, the serious skills. So if you are that way inclined, I would say go for it, right? Because when you have those skills, you are employable right away. OCBC already wants someone like that, right? Because they've got the vacancy and they already choked the people in my class. So yeah, you just need to look around and know where you're most suited, because I think if you're genuine and you've got just strong values and good work ethics, you'll be able to find the right job.
Completely agree. I think the future is about, developing skills, and I think OCBC campus has a fantastic way of letting people explore. I think the program that you mentioned earlier, where you get very good well-being, programs for our civilists as well, and for the young to exchange knowledge. I think that's just nurturing what in the future will be all about skills matching, and going forward, not in terms of just specific ICT jobs, but also in the spectrum as well. I think we talked a little bit about Jobs Bank earlier. Actually, there's a new version. It's called mycareersfuture.sg.
Yeah, sorry.
So it's the souped-up version of Jobs Bank. We all very familiar. It's still kind of like
and this is broadcast.
porting over to
cut my funding.
mycareersfuture.sg. So we're all different, becoming better versions of ourselves. So mycareerfuture.sg, like what Dr. Lim has mentioned, it's a better version, a faster version, a very effective way of course, matching skills to the jobs. And it doesn't mean that if you're just looking for ICT jobs, you can also match the skill set to maybe in the financial sector, perhaps, if you have the right aptitude, the right skill sets for it, and also matches you to some of the existing Adapt and Grow programs that, if you're doing a mid-career switch or just as a fresh graduate looking for something, those could be quite applicable. So I'm very sure all of you are very, very aware of mycareersfuture.sg. It's also, again, a work in progress. It's a fantastic project, and I do believe that with consultancy and expertise from our practitioners as well in the actual working industry, this website is going to be even more useful and effective. So let's move on to another question. Maybe we can ask Ms. Yap about this one. Also very highly rated. What is a good platform to check the credibility of digital certifications and courses? Do you have any inclination to that? A good platform to check upon credibility of those certificational courses. I think Dr. Lim will be good in answering that question. I think it's got to do with nano learning, like how educational systems are changing.
SMU chop.
Oh.
No, I mean, of course, which are the sort of genuine organizations that are strong in those areas, right? So, of course, some of the tech companies like Google, Microsoft, they do have their own certification. IBF has its certification. That's why some of us do all the mapping and all the very difficult work to make sure that the standards are maintained. I think you would know. Reputable universities are fine, because when we put out a course, we need to make sure that it is sort of rigorous enough, and that there is a assessment portion, and that our faculty are comfortable with the pass rate and things like that.
If you can add on, thank you so much.
I think what's very important from an organization perspective is the contextualization of the technical skill, which is, so we're being very pragmatic here. So let me give you an example. AI is such a big area. You can get completely lost in it. You can send people for the most amazing AI calls, they can come back and be completely useless because none of it was contextualized to what they were going to do on Monday morning. So one of the things that we increasingly find important is we need to understand what is being taught. So as an example, we recently signed up for AI in finance. And that's a tie-up between an organization in the UK and our very own Ngee Polytechnic. And we took a look at the speakers, and we assured ourselves that they are all practitioners, very, very familiar with the financial industries. So this would make a lot of sense for us to send our people, because then they would be able to draw on their expertise and start thinking about the opportunities that AI would have for them back at work. Because at the end of the day, there needs to be some return, and that's where we find the greatest return.
I think you also answered a question about people getting engaged in AI-related jobs, about contextualizing it. So thank you so much for answering that. So we have a very specific question for OCBC. This one is also quite newly rated. I just saw this. Does OCBC harness UX, UI in its learning initiative? And if yes, how is it incorporated?
Is the question on how we roll out UI, UX training?
Well, it's also ambiguously
Do
said.
we want to know what UI, UX is?
So I take it that the question is, how does OCBC campus roll out UI, UX learning? Can I take it? Okay. So UI is user interface, and UX, is user experience. And the one of the biggest problems that's facing L&D in any part of the world is trying to sift through all these numerous names for the same thing, lah. So usability, human-centered design, customer journeys, all these are talking about the same thing. So in our bank, we're quite unique that we have a very, very deep expertise in human-centered design. We actually have a division called Group Customer Experience, and that's all they do every day. So, and it's been around for 8 years. So the way that we do, experience design training is we get our in-house content experts to run our training for us. And again, this is very useful in the sense that because they are practicing within the organizational context, they are able to go beyond theory, right? Because UX, and just like AI, in theory, anything is possible, right? On paper, everything is beautiful. The map looks beautiful from start to finish. Why? Because you have no politics, you have no organizational silos to break down. But in truth, once you go back to work, these are the things that will derail you. So when we have internal experts, they are able to incorporate the culture of the organization into the workshops. And so that it becomes something that you can take away and start practicing when you go back to work. So I hope that answers your question. It is very hands-on, and it's very contextualized, and our UX training are done by our internal experts.
Thank you so much for expertly answering the question. And I would say maybe just the last question to wrap it up. Thank you for all your questions. We have an on-site question. Sure, we can do that. Maybe what I can do is come down and pass you the mic. And then maybe just one more question to wrap it up for today. Thank you so much for being so participative. I hope we answered most of your questions already. Hi, sir. Can I get your name?
My name is Edwin. I educate my learners to win. I guess I'm old school. I still use the mic to ask questions. I don't know how to key in those. My question is for IWE, Future Smart, right? A wonderful program. I want to ask about what are the 3 learning points or lessons learned when you conceptualize and implemented this program. What are the key lessons learned, area for improvements, and so on? I represent SME. I don't have the budget from that angle, budget of OCBC. I represent a non-profit. So how do we get about conceptualizing a learning program for an organization that's much smaller, scaled down version? Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question. Lots of learning. And I don't think it's about budget if you come right down to it. I mentioned earlier about getting stakeholder engagement. Maybe it's very unique to OCBC Bank, but we're very, very people-centric. So for us, getting buy-in was very, very key. We started this project about 9 months ago, okay, and it only culminated in the launch about in last month. So what did we do? The head of HR himself started the ball rolling by having one-on-one interviews with all his peers to ask them a couple of questions around the future. So specifically, what is your vision for your division in the next 3 to 5 years? What do you think needs to be done, and how can HR support you? That took, as you can imagine, a fairly long time, 2 months to go through that. That gave us very valuable feedback. And the L&D team engaged a lot of the rank and file across the entire organization to get their thoughts on what was missing, what were the gaps in terms of skills, knowledge. So that very intensive and deliberate period of engaging our stakeholders is something that I think we can do regardless of how big or how small. And there's really no money really required, but you have to invest a lot of time in that. The second thing was we had to package it. Human beings, we are attracted to shiny new things, you know. We something that's bright and colorful, you know, with a catchy name, it gets our attention. The truth is that so many things are fighting for our attention. So again, I think some thought as to how we're going to engage the different segments was very, very key. So in the launch itself, we made sure that we were very clear what were the segments that formed the employees. We had a very, very big proportion of very young people that we needed to engage. We had people who don't like to learn but love competitions. So you know, these are the insights that we got from understanding our employee base, and from that we developed very deliberately a few interventions. So for instance, we had the app, and that was deliberately designed to engage the people who are very quiet, you know, will not raise their hands to ask questions, but they are very social. Okay, so that was the other thing. Let me see, I had one more, but it slipped my mind. I'm having a very senior moment right now. Can't quite remember. But
Don't worry, maybe later on when it comes back to you, we will let him know. Hopefully that answers your question. All the very best in what you're doing. Keep on fighting strong. And I want to say thank you as well for all the questions coming in. I think let's wrap up with the last question, and it's a nice way to kind of conclude the day as well. With an influx of technology, how do we endure that we do not lose the human interaction between staff? So that's voted at, I think, 4. And I think that will be a nice way to wrap up today as well. Let's get Dr. Lim to tell us what's on your mind.
Yeah. Just a bit of that. I was here midway through, sitting through a workshop that was conducted by 2 Real Madrid people. One was a former striker, Victor Sanchez, and the other is Sergio, who is the CEO of the Real Madrid Soccer Academy in Singapore. So it's a 2-day workshop on high-performance teams. And I remember they were saying that they were simulating a locker room, because if you're a coach, they said, in this whole sort of football thing, the leader is behind, the strategy is in front, because it's the coach that deals with the strategy and the performance of the team. The manager and all that is just behind, the president of the club is behind, right? So leadership does not come in here. But in the locker room, the coach must know everybody. So you've got to spend time knowing your people, right? So no matter if there's sport technology, there's sports science that talks about, you know, how to train athletes in terms of their performance using new sort of analysis or new machines, it is still that coach, member of the team member relationship, right? So they talk about the care that has to be there and the concern with individual players. So I guess no matter how high-tech we become, the lesson of high-performing teams would still be that personal relationship between the person who is the coach and each member of the team. Yeah, so that's just my simple answer.
Thank you. I think technology should help strengthen relationship, not weaken it. And Ms. Yap, do you have any concluding thoughts for us?
Yes, I've got over my senior moment, so I've remembered my final point, which is I'll be very fast about this. But one thing that we did, and we didn't know it was going to succeed or not, but it turned out to be one of the success factors, was we got our own internal people to showcase examples of how they have progressed in, so let's say in AI, in RPA. So we actually had a booth that was manned by our own people to show some of the experiments in those areas. And we found that that worked very well, because the idea is that, oh, hey, hey, John from this department, hey, I didn't know that you're doing RPA. Hey, can you tell me more about it? So it became very familiar, it became very accessible. The idea is that, hey, my friend from across the hallway can do this, then I think I got hope, So that became a very important fact in driving the concept that it was accessible. So that was my final point. and for the piece, the question on technology, our philosophy in the bank is that technology, let's not be seduced by technology. Technology ultimately is still about people. It is about the way we look at technology, the thinking around technology, and ultimately technology must serve ourselves as well as our customers. So people is very much front and center.
Thank you. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, can we have a round of applause for Dr. Lim and Ms. Yap for the very insightful sharing, all the stories that you shared. Truly, I hope will inspire you. I hope you brought home some nuggets of wisdom today from our session. So, to conclude, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite Mr. Christopher Yip to come on stage to give away tokens of appreciation. Firstly, to Dr. Lim. I'm going to pass this to Mr. Chris. Thank you very much. Can I get a photo as well? Thank you so much for sharing your stories with us. We really enjoyed them, and we will definitely remember them. And also, as well, a big thank you to Ms. Yap for sharing expert knowledge. And very, very inspiring indeed. Hopefully, you're going to go back and feel very inspired from what you heard from our two speakers here today. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause. Thank you, Ms. Yap. Thank you, Christopher, for helping us give away the tokens of appreciation. So, I want to say thank you for tuning in today. If you are watching us via live streaming, we have not forgotten you. And also to all my on-site audience as well. It's been a groundbreaking day for us. We have conquered new grounds, and more importantly, we are learning and experiencing new things together. I think that's very commendable indeed. So, well done. Could you please give yourselves, and along with our speakers as well, a round of applause. Thank you. Just a few more announcements before I dismiss you for your dinner. I want to say that today we need your feedback. So if you enjoyed what you heard today and you found it useful and you want more of it, please let us know. So on your chair, I believe you have taken away the chair so that you can sit down on it. It's a piece of paper and it's double-sided. So do me a favor, if you can, right now, wherever you are, as you're listening to me, give you some housekeeping announcement, fill up the form where you are. Maybe you can borrow a pen from your neighbor if you don't have one, and start filling them out so that you can drop it off on the way out. Thank you so much for your feedback. It is very important to us. Now, I also want to tell you as well that we do have dinner served for you today. It is going to be just outside here at the event hall. And for those of our friends who are fasting, there are prayer rooms in this building. The female prayer room is at Lobby B, and that's at level 2, which you can access via the cargo lift. And for my friends, for the male prayer room, it is also at Lobby B. It's at the basement. Once again, you need to go through the cargo lift. On behalf of Workforce Singapore, thank you for your time today. We wish you a pleasant work week ahead. Once again, enjoy your dinner and give us back your feedback form. My name is Sue. Thank you and good night.